questions at any point, you can do, feel free. It's kind of an open session, so I'd rather it be like that than we wait for a formal thing where you've got a question. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. So, what I'm going to talk about, I'm doing the introduction at the minute. I've got some slides to show you, so I'll go through the slides to show you the sort of formal theory side of things, and then we'll have a bit of a crack at a practical session, okay? So you can have a go at lifting and carrying. Then there's a little quiz and a discussion after that. So the quiz is not a test, it's just a multiple choice thing where you can circle the correct answers. We'll have a chat around the room and see what answers there were and if they're correct or not, and if they're not, we discuss what should be the correct answer and why. So that's how this section looks. What are we going to learn today? You'll be pleased to know. What is manual handling? What type of injuries you can get from manual handling, and how those injuries can occur. Unfortunately, there's a bit of regulations, okay, which I always say to people, you don't need to remember the regulations, you need to know why they were there, and that prompts us having to do certain things. We'll look at a manual handling assessment. Before you lift and carry or pull or push anything, you probably do a little assessment in your head, so we'll briefly go over that. Bearing in mind this is a condensed version of what you've normally do. And then we'll look at some controls and techniques, so I'll show you how to lift things and some of the techniques that you can do to reduce the risk. And by the end of it, you should all be safe. There's recent figures that come out, so if I say to people, if you don't feel you're at risk in the work that you do or your working life, then think about when you get home. In the last year, 6,000 people died at home in DIY accidents. I'm not saying you're going to die from manual handling, but it's important, the safety is an important thing even when you're at home. So I've just put that in to see, give you a bit of reality there. Okay, so, does anyone know what manual handling is? Yeah, what else? To a certain extent, yeah. Sort of actions.
Climbing ladders as well and things like that, is that included?
Could be. How did the ladders get there in the first place?
Lifting them.
Yeah, you took them there. Okay, so. Here we go, here it is. It's moving or supporting a load by hand or bodily force, so you can all think of things you do, even in a normal day. Picking a bag out of the car is lifting, carrying, pulling, pushing the shopping trolley, yeah, pushing a tray or a trolley around work, anything like that. And it could include things like bags, parcels, carrying people. Think of that sort of environment where you're carrying people, healthcare environments, things like that. Could be animals on odd occasions, yeah, vets and people. So it's that type of thing. Happy with that? Do you do any of this sort of stuff? Exactly. So you're potentially at risk, aren't you? Okay. So over the past couple of days, we've talked about reporting incidents, yeah, to the health and safety executive. So they're quite serious incidents. So you probably, if you have to report an accident, you've probably been off work for 7 days, or you've broken something like a leg or an arm. Okay. So I looked at the figures for manual handling and said, why is it such an issue? So in that year that I'm quoting on there, out of all those serious accidents that were reported, nearly 22%, nearly a quarter of them were to do with lifting and handling. Okay, so this, you can get a feeling now why we talk about it so much. Slips and trips, similar figures, 29%. Yeah, and you can argue they're both linked. So if I'm carrying a box and I trip up, I'm kind of falling into both of these categories. So this is why we have to keep going on about it. Okay, so what type of injuries can we get? What part of the body do you think's most commonly injured when we're lifting, carrying, pulling, pushing?
Back or knees.
Yeah, do you think I've given it away a bit there? Yeah, generally speaking, it's your back. Okay. Why do you think that is? Yeah.
Put too much pressure on your back, not lifting it correctly.
Think of the physiology. Think muscles that your back's got in it compared to maybe the muscles in the body. Just hold that thought for a minute. Okay, so same figures for all those reported accidents, and this was the top part of the body that was injured in those accidents. Yeah. So in the green here, back injuries, 38–40%. Okay. In here, upper limbs, all this part of the body. Okay, so they're a good proportion. Normally, if you get asked a question, it's not, typically it is the back. Just in a particular year, it balances up a little bit. But think about why now. Again, yeah. There's no leg in there. There's no knees in there. Why do you think that is? Yeah. Okay. So if I pick up something like this, what muscles am I using? Back, the arms, the body. All right. Suddenly, if I alter my stance and pick up like this, what part of the body and what muscles in the body am I using? Legs. Yeah. So if you take anything out of today, it's use your legs. Why? Why use my legs?
Strongest muscle in your body.
Yeah, brilliant. They're the biggest muscles in my body, apart from my brain. Yeah, but they're the strongest. So whatever you do, however you pick things up, you try to use your legs. Does that make sense? That's what those figures show you, I think. Yeah. What sort of occupations do you think are at risk in this sort of area? So what type of? Yeah, that's a good one. Warehouse, transport staff, baggage handlers are up there.
Hospitals, forces.
Yeah, healthcare, number one, healthcare. One, because imagine how if you've got to lean over a bed, for example, and try and lift someone up into position.
So hard. It's like my dad's in the cane. You can't lift him. It's dead weight as well.
You're already in a bad position, aren't you? You're already putting pressure on those small muscles. You can alter that slightly, and this is why you see so many of those winches and lifts in that type of environment. So they're top of the list. They're also really good at reporting it because they're in the industry, so they do report it. Construction creeps in there at some point, but you generally find that they're getting more and more technology to help them reduce the risk. Yeah, so that gives you a bit of an idea of what's going on in the world as well. What type of injuries can we get? Cuts, bruises, crush injuries. If I'm carrying chemicals or hot liquids, I could get burns if I do it wrong. I could get an internal injury like a muscle rip or a hernia. We can also get a slip disc, which is what we're trying to avoid. All right. So I know of a guy that works in this industry, professional trainer of manual handling. He's from Newcastle area. Now, what he says, you've got the vertebrae here, haven't you? 33 of them, all right? And here is a cross-section of the vertebrae. Okay, so you've got your vertebrae there, the bone, and then you've got your disc in the middle. Yeah? And what he says is you want to keep your jam, which is your disc, in your donut, which is your vertebrae, yeah? Because if you pick up badly, overreach, overstretch, you're pulling your spine out of position. So when we do my little practical exercise later, we're trying to keep although it's curved, our back straight to a certain extent, unlock the knees, yeah, and you're bending down, exaggerate, you're bending down like this, but what's happening to me? I'm keeping my spine in a straight position. If I go like that, and weaken it and start to use these bodies, does that make sense? And could cause myself a slip disc. Anyone had anything like that before? Sometimes people have had that type of thing, so, oh yeah, I was off work for 6 months with it, it's never been right since. And that's what we're trying to avoid with this. How do we get these sort of injuries? What sort of things do you think we could do to get them? Bad things.
Repeatedly doing the same thing, so it's wearing it down.
Yeah, brilliant. Anything else?
Overstretching yourself, trying to reach something.
Yeah. Yeah. All really good answers. So these are the type of things, you're exactly right, maybe put it in a different context to a certain extent. Pulling and pushing these guys down here and putting themselves at risk. All these pictures show what problems you can have. Yeah? Too heavy on his neck. Okay? Maybe not in this country. Imposed by process. So the guy's got stuff coming down the production line, he can't do anything other than keep spinning them off the production line, so he can potentially hurt himself or herself. Our mate from Dell down here that's bringing all our new computers, he can't see where he's going. Okay, so he's increasing the risk of having an incident. Follow that? Yeah? Working in space constraints, things like this. Yeah? I get people injured themselves going to stationary cupboards. Yeah? They're not tidied up and things. Right. What do you think about the law? There's always a law governing areas of health and safety. So, this law is the Manual Handling Operations Regulations, 1992. You don't need to remember it, but you need to know the principles. It's there. Like many health and safety laws, it gives employers responsibilities under the law. So you have to identify activities, even if it's just moving a piece of paper from one to the other. You avoid the task if you can. So if I don't need to move a box from there to there, you avoid it. And you assess the remaining risks, you reduce them, and then what this is about is providing information and training. Yeah, you've got a legal duty to do that. If you're an employee or you employed someone, do you think they've got any responsibilities in the eyes of the law?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, what do you think? So we're thinking in a manual handling situation as an employee. What are you going to do?
You could have a health and safety post struck as well. You need signposts, fire exits, you need a first aid box.
Yeah, you've close. You get there kinds of instructions, aren't they? Yeah, so when you manual handle it, you've got to make the full and proper use of equipment. You've got to follow procedures and instructions. So if I tell you to use a trolley to move all those boxes over to the other side of the room, you shouldn't be using a trolley, okay? And that's what we tell people. You've got a legal duty to take care of yourself and others. Yeah, so you can't go around like the guys from Dell there with his big box of computers and run one of his mates over at work. So these are the important things to remember as an employee. I don't think you ever get prosecuted, it's very unlikely, but you have got a duty of care there. Okay? Now, acronyms, well, acronyms, don't we? So when we come to do our little practical thing, this is the type of thing that I want you to think of. So, when I'm going to lift something, what's the task I'm going to do? And you can think of this even in your own working environment, but take that over to there. What am I going to do? And why am I doing it? Do I need to do it? Yeah? Please, when we get to the practical, just do it for me, would you? Okay. You've got you as the individual, this is important. So, if I put you in a practical session now, like I'm going to do, and you're not happy with lifting something, you should be telling your supervisor, yeah? Or telling the person that's asking you to do that, I'm not comfortable with that, for whatever reason. It could be that you don't think you're capable. It could be that you've got an existing health problem, like a bad back or something like that. So you as the individual. The load, how would I check the load? Maybe a label in the box, yeah? Maybe a little test lift, push with your foot, you know, as someone put something else in that box. You look at the environment, can I walk through there? Have I turned the lights on? That type of thing. So that's all sort of, and that's what I said to you at the start, you're almost doing that subconsciously, yeah? So, just got a bit of a handout now. This is the guidance that shows you, this is guidance, this isn't law. It just shows you what you can lift, yeah, or what potentially you can lift given certain factors. I'll put it on this so you can see it a bit better. So, man, woman, we're all different. I think you can take the gender off and just say different people can lift and carry and pull and push different things, can't they? Depending on experience, depending on the physical, the way they are. So, basically speaking, this American diagram shows it a bit better with the colour codes on it. The closer it is to your body, the more control you've got over it, yeah? And the further away from your body it is, the less control. So if you look on this, as a man, you get in that red zone is a 5 kilogram area. So if you lift anything above 5 kilograms, potentially you put yourself at risk. Does that make sense? Yeah? Any questions on that? Good. How do you think you could reduce the risk then? So I've got to lift something. How would I reduce the risk? How would I make it safer? You can not do it. We've said that, can't we? What else? So I've got a massive pile of boxes and I want you to shift them into the next room. Yeah. Anything else?
Share the load with someone else.
Yes. Good answers. So, we could use mechanical assistance if we're in the right environment. We could put a trolley underneath it or even a forklift truck. Yeah? We can reduce the load, split it up. We can make the working environment better, clear space. We can do things like good housekeeping. We can rotate the job, so we split it between the two of us. We can pace ourselves, so some younger people may not be as experienced in it and wear out quicker and can have a tendency to have an accident, and vice versa. If you're older, there might be a chance that you need to pace yourself properly so you can get through the working day without putting you at risk. Do you understand some of those control measures? You might get tested on it. Okay? Now, here goes. I'll try to make a video. This video is from the healthcare industry. It's just a quick video about a woman, a nurse I think it is, that they've just decided how to do something a little bit differently, and it's reduced the manual handling risk. Use the force. That was always going to happen, wasn't it? Right, okay. So, what it was, this nurse decided that they were having a problem lifting patients into a bed. They couldn't get the layout of the workplace right in the rooms where the beds were. So basically, they redesigned the bedroom and made enough rooms that they could get a winch, basically a bed lift in there, so they could move it alongside, and that reduced the risk that they got, basically. Okay. Sorry you couldn't see that. It was really well acted as well. So how to do it badly, if you really want to know. Don't jump off things. Don't bend over at the waist. Remember, picking the kids up like this, slinging them on you. Always, and at the end of the day, like that, aching back, aching sides, all using the wrong types of muscles. Don't over twist. This guy's reaching into the 5 kilogram zone, isn't he, with the toolbox? Yeah, so I say to people, get him on a middle shelf. The two of you can help get it in there, can't you? And when you come to get it out again, you can get a good position, unlock your knees. Okay? Happy with that? Still awake? Okay, here's good technique. So when we do the practical bit, this is what I want you to think about. Yeah? So I'm going to ask you to do this task. Say, have a think about it. I don't mean 10 minutes. I haven't got 10 minutes. Just for a few seconds, so I think. Yeah? Using that tile process. So what is the task? What am I capable of lifting? What's the environment that I'm working in? We get a good stance. Yeah? We pick it up. What does that look like? Toddler, doesn't it? Looks like a baby picking something up. Yeah, because babies were never taught to pick anything up any different. We do. I'm like this now. Oh! Picking things up. Yeah, using the small muscles rather than the large leg muscles. And then I'm off, carrying it to where I want to go. And don't forget, when you put stuff back down, don't just sling it down. Do the same again. Okay? Any questions? Do you reckon you could do it? If you can't, then I will guide you through every step of it. So, let's have a practice. Now, what I thought, we'd all get up and we'd all do it here, but COVID things and all that, I thought, well, let's do it in our own area and I will observe you. Okay? So, I'm going to use the chair, yeah? And I want you to move the chair just a short distance, say a metre, okay? Using the techniques I've shown you. So, I don't want any of this. Why? Muscles. I don't want this. Why? Small muscles. Okay? So you look at it and go, right, do what the guy did. Yeah? How can I pick this up? Okay? So maybe you check. I've already unlocked my knees. Yeah? I'm already getting my back in a decent position. but I'm just going to check, how heavy is this chair? Okay, am I happy to lift it? I think I am, yeah? So away I'll go. I'm looking where I'm going, lights are on, clear path. I'm off, yeah? Happy? Just a metre, and then down. Done. That's all I want you to do. Yeah, you don't have to do one at a time. We can all get up and I'll observe. But I want you to be looking, particularly in areas like this. You might need to move a chair in. Yeah, you might need to take your coat off the back of the chair, so you have a think before you do it. If you're not happy to do it, you're quite happy to sit there. Go.
Go on now.
Go on. You might as well give it a go.
Oh, right, okay.
You had a think, yeah? Oh. Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad. You could always try putting your leg round a bit and then you get a better position on it, yeah? Exactly. It's all exaggerated, but it's the principles, because you get into a bad habit of it, because next week you'll drag, I guarantee when you're at work, you'll grab a chair like that and go.
Push it on the wheels.
And then you'll go, oh, crikey, just pull me, you're not going to kill yourself, I'll just pull the muscle there. And you'll go, oh, Matt told me that, didn't he? That's what I mean, yeah? Wanna have a go, ladies?
Go on then. You can use that chair, I'll use this one.
Yeah,
So
go
I'll
on.
turn it
So
that way.
remember, have a think first, and this is anything if you're at work, moving stock or anything
Yeah.
like that. You're having a think, can I lift it? Can I? Yeah,
I think my knee actually cracked the
Yeah.
gym session for me.
yeah.
There we go.
That's it. And if you're used to the gym, you're used to lifting, aren't you? You don't need to put it back. You just want to. Thank you. So any questions on that? I didn't want to bring any props in, I just thought the chairs might be a
No, all good.
decent thing to have a go at. The important thing is, no matter what you're doing, depending on the risk, just have a think about it. Should I really be trying to do this? Carrying all the stuff down the stairs with no hands free, things like this, yeah? Have I spilt that thing, that cup of coffee up that I tipped over earlier? That type of thing. Okay? Any questions? No? The weights aren't marked on the chairs, are they? So when you get a box, you can have a look at the weight and it will give you a rough idea. And then if you look at my handout, that gives you a rough idea of what you should be doing with it. So if I've got a 10 kilogram box to put on a top shelf, you might want to be thinking about where to put it. Yeah? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. Right, here goes. Quiz time. Get your pens ready. So, this is my little manual handling quiz. You ain't daft, yeah, so I'm not meaning to insult anyone, but this is fairly common sense, yeah? Read the question, I think there's 10 questions. Circle the answer you think's correct, yeah? And then we'll have a brief discussion about the results of it, okay? If you get an answer wrong, I'm not too fussed, we'll discuss the correct answer, yeah, and why, built on what we were. So we can just have maybe 2 or 3 minutes just to do that. If you're not sure on some of the questions, just have a crack at it and then
some of the questions have more than one answer?
Without giving you the answer, they might do.
Yes. Okay. So.
Okay.
Done.
On the back sheet, I'm going to challenge you to add up your scores as well as we go through them, and you can make any notes you want as well for your own reference on the back, such as any questions you feel you might not have got right. Everyone done?
Yeah.
Really slow.
You know, that's fine.
Since I've been back at school, I've been so slow.
I'm putting you through it.
That's what this course has been really like for me.
Okay, brilliant. Everyone happy?
Yeah.
Right, so as I say, this is for your own learning, so just go through the questions, be honest with yourself, and let's shout up if you feel that you weren't too sure about the answer. So number one, how should you position yourself if you need to lift a load from the ground? Any answers?
D.
B.
Yeah. Any different answers to that?
Don't know what this is.
Well, I can understand.
Probably wasn't
I've been a bit
really
crafty.
probably.
Well, no, because I've been a bit crafty, because it is quite similar, but your feet slightly apart, and what I'm looking for is one leg slightly forward and your knees bent, that key feature of engaging your legs, yeah, so that's fine. Before attempting to lift a heavy load, you should always try to what?
B.
Yes. Lift, you remember this one? Lift equipment, divide them into small or manageable loads. So when you're at work, you've got a big order come in, you split it down, don't you, rather than struggling, don't you?
I got that one right.
Well done. Good. What should I do if I need to lift a load which blocks your front view?
I've got C for this.
Now, I've had different answers for this when I've tried it at home.
Uh-huh.
I put A.
Yeah, but I.
Okay, well done. It is A. Yeah. You both must be able to see when you're carrying something, otherwise you shouldn't be carrying it. That's the principle behind that one. Okay. So that's why it's done like this. What should you do if you've got previous back injury affecting your job? Any different answers to that?
Okay.
Great, well done. And that goes back to your responsibility to let the employer know. What should you do if a trolley you're using gets damaged and a wheel falls off?
Don't use it. Find another way to move it.
Yeah, brilliant. Anyone else?
D.
Yeah. All right, yeah.
I put A.
Stop using
This one was annoying me. This is why I was taking so
But
long.
this is what it's about, though.
You were
So
thinking it.
I was thinking
yeah,
it.
this is what it's about. It's about you use the mechanical assistance in the first place. That reduces the risk. So if you then go and pick it up, you're increasing the risk again, aren't you? So you should stop and get it right. And you've got a duty to report defects as well. So it goes back to that slide that we were talking about there on control measures. So I can understand why you put it, and that's the reason why it's the other way around. What should you do if the load's too heavy to move on your own? Number 6.
C.
Yeah, well done. Number 7, if you need to move a load while sitting, you should always remember what?
I didn't know this one, but I guess.
Yeah.
B.
B, yeah.
Yeah, why?
Well, assume you can't carry as much because you haven't
What
got
is
your
it?
legs.
Brill. That's it. That's
Yeah.
exactly it. Using your legs. Okay. Do you get that?
I just put anything on that one, to be
Did you?
honest.
Okay.
I was
You
in a rush then.
You understand that now, don't you now? Yeah. 8. What should you do if you need to move items which are too heavy to carry in a single load?
Any of the above.
All of them.
Yeah, well done. The maximum weight you should carry is
Sorry,
decided by.
You.
Yeah, well done. And which part of the body are you most likely to injure if you lift heavy loads?
Your back.
Yes. I would accept neck as well, based on the figures that I gave you, yeah? Any questions on that? Did everyone get more or less? You got a lot of them right, didn't you? Yeah. Happy?
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. So, just to wrap up, if there aren't any further questions, I always say to people on these sort of things, if you're in doubt of lifting, carrying, pulling and pushing, stop first, think about it, and ask for help or ask for advice. Okay? And I'm done.
Yeah.
very well, it's very